And welcome to the Friday morning warm up, number 114. And as always, we're going to start with a little bit of clapping, and we're just making our way through the different levels of triplets, clapping, or not just clapping, but playing triplets ultimately. But for now, we're just going to be clapping them. And we started off 2 or 3 weeks ago with the top line, nice and easy, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then moved on to saying one triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet on the second line, which are triplet quavers. Then we went on to the third line. Now, as you can see, the first line is just your standard 4 beats to the bar. But when you place a triplet on each beat, you're effectively dividing up the time in by 3. So you get 12 in total in a bar. But the second line is dividing the minimums in 3. So if you've got 2 minimums in a bar, you end up with 6. You end up dividing the bar into 6 on the third line. And we did that for the first time last week. So we'll get down to there, and then we'll look at this last bar. Whereas 3, the bar is divided into 3. And they're not easy to play accurately, but a lot of songs and a lot of tunes, melodies do have triplet phrases in them, and do need to be sort of executed accurately. So getting the feeling of a triplet into your playing is kind of the ultimate aim, perhaps. Not counting 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet all the time. That's just how you get there. So anyway, we'll just work our way down the sheet. So let's just start with the top line first of all. We're just going to clap and say 1, 2, 3, 4, and relatively slowly. So here we go. 1 after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and easy. 2. Still part of the warm up, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, just keep clapping, but say 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4. So we're on the second line. 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Now clap as well. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Take a breath. One triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. Single claps again. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. Right, now we're going to go on to the third line now. And we're going to clap, not on every beat, but when you say the 1, the let, the trip, the 3, the let, and the trip as shown. So we're still going to go, let me count, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay, so we're on the third line. Let me just explain that again. So we're still saying it, or in our heads going 1 triplet, 2 triplet in time with the basic pulse, which is on the metronome. But you're only clapping, or if you had an instrument, you're only playing when those particular words in those phrases appear. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. It's a bit of a, whoa, can do your brain in this one. So let's just do that after 4. Third line. So you're going to go clap on those words, but you're going to say 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. If you do this often enough, You hear a little pattern appearing in your clapping. If you can hear that. Last time. Good, and that's clapping 6 times when the metronome's doing 4 beats, which is, you know, quite an achievement if you can do that. Let's go on to the last line now. So this time we're dividing the whole bar into 3. And the way to find where to clap or play the note is to still say 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, but just to clap on the first 1, the second trip, and the third let. Then you find yourself going triplet and nothing happening on the 4th beat. So let me just demonstrate that. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So if you'd like to do that, so I'm going to set the metronome going, just say 1 triplet, 2 triplet, and then see if you can clap on those words. And then we'll move on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay. Let me just show you how it sounds. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. Because again, there's a little oral pattern. Okay, so if it's going a little bit faster, I'm out of breath. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Don't know if you could hear that, but there's kind of a little rhythmic pattern going on, and if you can go through this process, you'll eventually start hearing that pattern, and then you can confidently knock out your triplets, whether it's on a drum or on a musical instrument. Sorry, I'm not saying drums aren't musical instruments, you know what I mean, a percussive instrument or a pitched one. Right, I think we should move on. That's probably enough of that. Okay, on to the, oh no, we haven't done the other stuff yet. Right, pick up your instruments, please. And that did go on a little bit longer than we normally do for clapping, but an important part of music. Good, right, we're on F, concert F, so let's just do a little bit of warming up of the instrument just for a quick minute. And concert F. No more triplets for the rest of the morning. One, 2, 3, 4. Okie dokie, and you know what's coming next. It's the chromatic scale. All the notes, all those in the scale and not in the scale, the chromatic scale. So we're going to start on concert F, go up an octave, and then come straight down again in time-honored tradition. So starting on concert F, so that's G for the B flat instruments and D for the altos, just in case, make sure. And are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, here we go. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. just do a couple of quicker ones. We have done this one quite a few times, so quite a bit quicker. See if you can get ready for this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, we have got time for a bit faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then one at full pelt. But these kind of depend a bit on what instrument you're playing, as I've said before. But 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because on a lot of instruments, of course, each note you've got to think of what the note is, whereas certain instruments it can be done just through patterns and muscle memory. It doesn't mean they're an easier instrument, just different. Good. Right, that's a chromatic scale. Let's move on to the exercise sheet. So if you'd like to get that ready. And we're just looking at triads, these 3-note chords, the sort of the basic chords or harmony that are derived from the scale or key. And just briefly, I know I've said it over many times over the last 2 or 3 years, but this is known as harmonizing a scale. You can take any scale, generally the 7-note scales it's done with. You take any scale and you start on the first note and you make a note of that, and then you go up to the 3rd note and you make a note of that, and you go up to the 5th note, the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th of the scale. And that creates a basic triad, 3-note chord, and it's the tonic of the key, the tonic chord. You then go up to the 2nd degree and take the 2nd, and you go up 3 from there. So in effect, you're going to the 4th of the scale. But the pattern is you do the 1st, 3rd and 5th, but you're starting on the 2nd note, as you can see. And you get another chord, and that will be called the supertonic. We're going to come on to playing these in a minute, but that's really what you're doing. You're just working your way up the scale, doing the 1st, 3rd and 5th, starting on an ever-increasing note. And you end up with a set of 7 chords, and that's what we're going to be looking at on this sheet. A set of 7 chords, which kind of are the key chords, triads, for that particular key. But what we're going to do first of all is just play the scale, and I've actually shown it going all the way up to the 12th. Sometimes you go up a whole 2 octaves. That can be too far for some instruments, or depending on your expertise, your experience. But it's always good to practice up to the 5th beyond the octave. So that's another sort of in between scale practice. So you do an octave, then you carry on up to the 5th. That's what we've got on this sheet here. So we're going to play the major scale all the way from the root up to the 12th note of the scale. First 2 bars then. Here we go. Just the first 2 bars. 1, 2, 1. Sorry, hang on, start again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's it. Let's do that again. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you've ended on the 5th of the scale. One more time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's do the next 2 bars. So bars 3 and 4 on the top line. So it's the same one, obviously descending, starting on the 5th, ending on the root after 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Actually, actually ends on an offbeat, which can be a bit unnerving, but let's do that again. And 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay, well that's our key scale for today, a major scale, and we are going to harmonize it. And as I said earlier, when you've harmonized, there's 7 notes in a major scale. It's a heptatonic scale, consequently, 7 tones. So that means there are 7 unique chords or triads which are derived from starting on each of the 7 notes, going up from the note to the 3rd and the 5th up the scale. So in other words, all the notes in all these chords are going to be from that scale. So we're just going to do them one at a time, nice and easy. And we're going to start with the tonic, so the 1st, 3rd and the 5th of the scale. Just play that first bar in the second line. I'll do it without the metronome, we don't need that. So just the first bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. You've heard that sound often enough. Kumbaya, kumbaya. Here we go, so major chord, it's a major triad, because the 3rd is a major interval above the root. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And sing it if you want. So one more time, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dun, dun, dun. Now when you take the major scale and start on the 2nd degree, and then do the root 3rd and 5th, the way the notes are arranged in the major scale, it turns out to be a minor chord, and this is the supertonic, or 2nd chord. The supertonic, super just means above, you know that, so it's above the tonic. So concert G minor, you've got the chords written on your sheet, so I won't read them all out. Here we go, so on the 2nd one, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the notes have got different fingering for the guitarists here, so we're working our way up the fretboard rather than vertically across the fretboard. You can do it both ways, but you can more clearly see the intervals this way. So we're on to the mediant now, the 3rd one. And this is another minor chord, it turns out. So let's, and you're also getting to hear the sound of the minor triad. That's very important to be able to recognize a minor triad. So we're on the 3rd one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and it's that first interval which determines it as a minor. So that's a minor interval, it's a minor 3rd. As opposed to that major before. It was a major. We're on to a major now. We're on to the subdominant, the 4th degree. Concert B flat major. So let's do the triad there that's derived from the 4th degree of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so definitely a major sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you know, something you might like to do is actually to memorize these names. That's the subdominant. That's used quite a lot in musical terminology, the subdominant. That's the 4th degree. Okay, moving on to the 5th degree of the scale. probably the most common triad in the key because it's the so-called dominant. It doesn't dominate the key, but it sort of it's got its very strong character, and it does want to be followed by the tonic most commonly. And the most common chord sequence probably in Western music is the dominant to the tonic. So let's play that. So we're on the next line now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might like to just root yourself on the where the tonic is now and again, just relative. Okay, that's the dominant. Just moving on to the sixth now, submediant. And this turns out to be a minor. The reason they're sometimes minor and major is simply because of the way the major scale, the notes in the major scale are patterned out. And if you did a minor scale and harmonized it and came up with 7 chords, you wouldn't get the same order of majors and minors. You'll get something else. So here we go. So we're on the sixth now, the sixth chord of the scale, the submediant. This is minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's sounding like a minor, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. And that's the sixth. And I said there's 7, so we're on to the last one now. There is another. We're going back to the eighth, which is the octave, but the seventh different one is this next one, and that's the leading tone. It's the leading note. It's got a very strong pull towards the tonic. So you will often hear this arpeggio before going back to the tonic. In fact, it might not be easy to see, but it's the upper 3 notes of a dominant 7th chord, if that means anything to anyone, which is why it sounds like the dominant. Okay, let's play this, the 7th leading tone. It's actually a diminished arpeggio, which means it's got a minor third followed by another minor third. Just go back over that in a second. So let's just play the 7th leading tone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's got a different sound to all the others. 1, 2, 3, 4. The sound of the diminished triad. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And then the last one, we're just finishing off the set, is back to the tonic, but it's just an octave higher than the first one. So let's just play the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, can hear a major sound there again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Fast counting. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you have it. They're all the triads which come about from harmonizing a major scale. You've probably heard this before, but I don't think there's any harm in repeating such things as that when you have a major triad, like the first one, it is actually 2 thirds stacked on top of each other. So the first third is, as we've said, a major third. That makes it a major triad. But the next interval from the 3rd of the scale to the 5th will be therefore a minor third. So that's a major third plus a minor third in terms of the intervals stacked on top of each other. But if you went to the second one, the supertonic, as we've said, it's a minor third to start with. The next third, from the third to the fifth of the chord, is therefore going to be a major third. So in terms of stacking thirds, if you're familiar with that idea, it's a minor plus a major. And that's one of the reasons why the fifths are all the same distance apart, because the intervals are just swapped around. It's a major plus a minor third, or a minor plus a major. So from the bottom to the top, it must still be the same distance. And perfect fifth. Somebody asked me last week, why is it perfect? And it's because it's the, I think I said actually at the time, it's because of the consonants of it. It absolutely sounds perfect. It sounds like a perfect interval. So all the major and minor triads are made up of either major plus minor or minor plus major third intervals. Except that diminished one. So let's go back to that one. So we're on back to the seventh, the leading tone. That's a minor plus a minor in terms of the intervals. A minor third plus another minor third. So it's got a diminished sound. In fact, it's got a flattened fifth on top, not a perfect fifth. And because it's two minor, smaller thirds. Okay, that's enough information about that. But let's move on now to a little exercise, quite an easy one. Just using exercise number one, just playing through those triads in an ascending fashion. And guitarists, I've refingered it for you guys to play this. But everyone else, as you're just basically playing the notes, that's just play them as, depends if you're reading it or playing the tab, but okay, you can do this in any position, of course, if you were reading it on the guitar. Right, so we're just going to play up and down. Each bar is a triad, root, third, fifth, and back to the root before repeating it for the next triad. So there's 8 boxes, 8 bars. So exercise number 1, 8 bars, not too fast. We're working our way up the triads. Here we go. 1, oops, stopped. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one. Yeah, I'll slow it down a little bit. I'm just going on my own ability to get it right. And thinking, well, if I can do that. Let's do that again. Exercise number 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's just working its way through the tonic, then the supertonic, then the... let's go on to exercise number 2 now. So this is a similar thing, same idea, except it's in a descending fashion. So so not only is it coming down the chords in reverse, the triads, it's also playing them fifth, third, root, fifth, as opposed to root, third, fifth, root. But anyway, what you got to do is read it and play it. Here we go. So exercise number 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that one does satisfyingly land on the tonic note. Let's do that again. Exercise number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. So that little exercise, or that sheet in fact, was a little foray around the triads from which are derived from the that particular key or major scale. And when you see a song, it's, in some respects, it's the way that you work out what key it's in. Because if the chords were, for example, G, A minor, C, D, G, A minor, C, D, you think, what key is that in? There's different ways you can find out. One is you can just hit all the different chords and see if it sounds like it's the end, it's the finish, so to speak, resolved. But another way is which key has all those 4 chords in. In that example, it was G, in fact. But generally speaking, simple songs are written with all keys from one scale. So anyway, okay, we'll do that again, no doubt, in a couple of months' time in a different key. Let's just finish off today with our usual little thing, a little strum. So I'm just going to put onto the screen the chords. Again, it's a Pachelbel's one. The reason for using this, apart from it being a very nice chord progression, is that it does use up an awful lot of the chords from that particular key without sort of sticking in artificial changes. So just the last minute, then we're just going to strum these chords. Here we go. 1 bar of each chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can just play what you like over the top, or just practice that scale. Oh, sorry. Subdominant, dominant, tonic, dominant, submediant, mediant, subdominant, tonic, back to the tonic, up to the submediant, last time, back to the tonic, up to the dominant, to the submediant, and the mediant, subdominant, amen, perfect cadence, back to the tonic. And there we have our session for today. Good. Right, well, as always, thank you very much, everybody, for coming along, and I'll be back next week. So look forward to seeing you all then. And I hope you have a good week in the meantime.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you,
you.
Dave.
Don't get
Thank you.
too
Bye, Chris. Bye,
Thank
Robin.
you,
Bye,
Dave.
David. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
all.
you.
Bye,
Bye,
Julie.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Julie.
October tomorrow. You can turn your heating on.